Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the afternoon show with ServiceNow Security. Please give it up for your host, VP and GM of the Security Business Unit, Sean Convery.
Hello, how's everybody doing? Great. All right, how are you doing, Piero?
Could not be better.
DJ Gabby, thank you for the sick beats. Appreciate it. All right, I am so excited you're all here. I'm excited to get this show started. Did you guys see the keynotes this morning, all the product announcements? Good stuff, good stuff. I know some of you are probably here because you want to see the Trusted Security Circle demo and you want to see the Vendor Risk Management demo. Those are coming. Let me actually give you the agenda, and then we'll get right into it. So our first guest is Harold Bjorn. He is the head of product management for the Security Business Unit. He's going to be out here walking you through all of our orchestration capabilities. After that, we're going to have Rich Raybach, who runs engineering for the Security Business Unit. He's going to come out and show off Trusted Security Circles and Vendor Risk Management. And then we're going to have Ron Wakely from AMP all the way out from Australia, who you saw on the keynote stage this morning, and he's going to be answering your questions. So if you have a question for Ron, take a look at the screen. You can text a number and submit your question. And Piero, we're going to do our best to get as many of them answered as we can, right?
I've got it all set up right here, Sean.
Awesome. Well, as much fun as it was to present this morning in front of the big crowd, I'm really excited to be in front of people who really want to hear about security. And one of the things that we thought a lot about as we were getting ready for this is, well, how much does the average person at Knowledge know about security in general, our security operations offering, how your company does incident response, those kinds of things. So we actually sent a camera crew out Monday night and asked as many people as we could find. And I think we have a clip, right, Piero?
We do have a clip.
Let's roll that clip.
Let's do it.
Casella, and I'm here on the floor of the Knowledge17 kickoff party. We're here tonight to ask people a few questions to see what they know about ServiceNow and security. Can you tell me a little bit about your security incident response process?
Oh, that's a tough question.
We don't have one. We don't have one.
We don't have one.
Can you tell me a bit about your security response process?
Actually, I can't.
Really? Really? Oh gosh, we don't know.
Right now, it's a little slow.
So tell me about your security response process.
I mean, I'm the process, right? Guys like me, we collect alert data from any number of security tools that we have. We hunt through internet and forums. We call our buddies. Small community. Guys have been doing this as long as I have. We get information about those alerts, and then we take action. We figure out what we've got to do to respond, and we lob it over the fence IT to do their server thing, whatever those guys do.
So tell me about your security response process.
I don't have any.
Are you familiar with ServiceNow's security offerings?
No.
I'm not.
Not particularly. Based on that, I think we've got some real work to do. Back to you, Sean.
That was fantastic. Believe it or not, this was the first time I saw it, so I had a lot of fun watching it too. All right, well, I think we do have a lot of work to do, Piero.
We do.
All right, well, why don't we bring out our first guest and get started? He is the head of product management for the ServiceNow Security Business Unit. Harold Bjorn, everybody. Harold.
Thank you. How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah. So Harold, you've been in security for 20-plus years.
Right.
What's got you excited about coming to ServiceNow, and what gets you going every day?
You know, it's interesting. When we first started talking about the opportunity here, I mean, I'd worked in security with a number of different vendors, and the one thing I kind of came to realize is that every security vendor out there is trying to sell a single pane of glass. And the reality is that the single pane of glass doesn't exist. And so the opportunity here was really to help customers block and tackle for security teams and respond faster. And so I think we brought that product to market, and happy to talk more about that.
You've had customers applaud when you talk about there being no such thing as a single pane of glass. This whole idea that management needs to be fundamentally rethought for security is pretty core to how you've been thinking.
Yeah, some people applaud and other people cry, right? I mean, that stuff just doesn't exist. So,
awesome. Well, why don't we get right at it and take a look at what you got?
All right.
So, let's talk a little bit about orchestration and automating security processes in general. So, when I talk to customers, and I've been doing it all week this week and before that, I really keep coming back to this concept of wasting time. Right? They're wasting time because they're not automating the tasks that they can automate, so they're spending a bunch of time doing things that they could have let a machine do.
Right.
And then the second thing I hear really commonly is they can't prioritize. They don't have the business context. And I talked about that on stage this morning, but how do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we've been hearing from customers as well, the prioritization. I mean, some of the most prominent breaches that have been out there are not because of the best-of-breed security tools that people are running. It's just the general noise. There's a sea of red that people are looking at. And so really the objective for us to prioritize critical events against critical business assets is where we really differentiate. We help you find the needle in the haystack that really matters versus the million of events that are potentially false positives or easily handled. And then the second thing is the automation. So we have customers in general, when I talk to them, they say it's roughly 3 hours to perform data enrichment and analysis on an incident. And with security operations and automation, we can take that down to a minute. In fact, I was talking to an MSSP that's gone live with customers with a combination of security operations, Splunk, and Tanium last night. They've actually averaged incident confirmation time down to 16 seconds through the automation. So it's pretty powerful.
Wow, 16 seconds. Well, I know you're super eager to show this off, but we decided to change plans a little bit. Piero, I was watching that video as you were watching that video, and that guy in the middle really just seemed, he took the mic away from Janine, right?
He did.
And he seemed like the most confident security analyst I think I've ever spoken with.
Well, yeah. Well, you noticed he had a pretty thick beard.
Yeah, I did see the beard.
Yeah, beard. Like most people with beards are very, very confident.
They are very confident, huh?
Very, very confident.
I don't know what that. Harold, how you feeling, buddy?
Not feeling too confident right now.
Not feeling too confident. All right, well, so Harold,
yeah.
I know you're not feeling confident already because of the whole beard thing, but I'm right there with you. So we actually found this guy.
Oh, really?
Turns out his name is Chad.
Chad.
And he's backstage.
Oh.
So he has agreed to an incident response throwdown with you. He's not a security operations customer. We actually have an environment set up over here for him with all his tools, including a Red Bull, which evidently is going to be very critical for his performance.
Okay.
And Piero, yeah, I know you're a little surprised. Just sort of stick with it. Piero's going to launch attacks at your infrastructure, and he's going to launch attacks at Chad's infrastructure, and we're going to see who does a better job. You up for it?
Yeah, sure. I bring it on. All right.
Well, what do you guys think? You want to see the competition? All right. Well, he is the most confident security analyst in the world. Please welcome Chad. Wow,
yeah, man.
Piero, I see where the confidence comment came from.
Clearly the beard. Clearly the beard.
I feel completely overwhelmed. All right, but Chad, you're looking fantastic. I love the hoodie.
Feel good, comfortable.
Mr. Robot was an amazing show. What really is behind those shades? Like, who is Chad on the inside, and what gives you that drive?
Time in the trenches. Time in the trenches, man. I mean, these are my people right here. They know what I'm talking about, right? Right? Yeah, man. Years in that operations center. Harden a guy like me.
Hardened a guy like you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is pretty intimidating stuff. Harold, do you have anything to say to your adversary?
I'm going to pwn him.
You're going to pwn him. All right. All right. Well, you guys can crack your knuckles and head to your seats, and we'll see what happens. All right. Let's get this going. All right. So, Piero, you want to let us know when you're going to launch the attacks?
Does a hacker tell you when they're going to attack you?
No.
I launched the attacks the moment those guys sat down. It's on.
All right. It's on. So I'll give you a moment to open your Red Bull over there, Chad. Can you just verify that you got your tools that you would expect and all your infrastructure is the way you expected it to be?
As long as your boy Harold didn't dork it up. Yeah, we're good.
OK, well, maybe you could throw on those sound isolating headphones, and that way you won't hear our super secret stuff, and we won't bother you. All right, so Chad's getting after it. We talked about what we're trying to show.
Yeah.
Why don't you just start showing us?
All right. Well, so I see Piero actually has launched two new incidents here. This is kind of the out-of-the-box dashboard in the security operations product, and then some KPIs that we track in the top row. So average time to identify and time to contain and trending over time, as well as new incidents closed and trending. And there's a fair amount built into some of these stock dashboards just from a visibility perspective. If I click into this, we actually see the 2 incidents that Piero has launched. And so here there's one called Hailstorm, which is pretty bad. That one's been in the news, so we might want to look at that. But it's been prioritized as moderate, and then there's this other one with I guess a weird file that is prioritized as critical using our severity calculator and risk scoring method to automatically prioritize this incident.
Harold, weird file seems less scary than Hailstorm. What's going on?
Yeah, it is a little weird. So let's just click in and take a look here. So if I actually click into this and open up the business service map, you can see that. Well, this web server in the middle looks like it's pretty, it's front-loading a lot of different services. And then if I roll up here, we can see that it's actually supporting the bond trading platform. So obviously, pretty critical impact for our organization.
Great. So let me make sure I understand what happened. 2 attacks came in. One of them was much more critical from a security standpoint.
Right.
But because it was against a less relevant infrastructure, it didn't make the grade from a priority standpoint. Not saying it's irrelevant, but it's just not the one you're going to focus on first.
Yeah, it's probably lower impact overall into the organization.
Awesome. So what do we do now?
So now we're going to actually go down and take a look at the response workflow that we're going to be executing here. And so you can see that in these tasks that are in the workflow, that there are a number of things that an analyst normally would do, like parsing out for indicators of compromise or threat indicators, and then ultimately running reputational analysis, process grabs, things like that. And so this is basically being automated using the security operations in conjunction with orchestration. So these are out-of-the-box security packs that we provide to basically drive this level of automated data enrichment and analysis.
So when I was talking this morning, I was talking about, making everybody's job better. These are the steps that actually improve that, because these are mundane tasks that you would have to do, but if you can automate them, then you just wind up being able to take the data at the end rather than having to deal with the fetching.
Yeah, all the repetitive, mundane scripting that people are executing on a repetitive basis that, quite frankly, is boring and time-consuming. That's the stuff that we can basically take off the analyst's plate. And ultimately, the beauty of that is that it also is capturing a lot of the context and the enriched data at the time the incident is created. And so you can see here that all of these lookups are happening. So we're looking up on a bunch of observables that are parsed out of this incident. Then we're returning some URLs. And so you'll see there that we've returned a bunch of URLs. And so the automation is firing and all the reputational analysis is happening. And I don't really need to lift a finger. And again, it brings that context at the time the incident actually triggers.
Maybe you did need to crack your knuckles. You've just been tapping.
I'm actually driving left-handed, Sean. It's pretty impressive. I'm actually a righty. So
you are Inigo Montoya-ing your competition over there.
There you go.
All right. So let me just make sure I understand. You're not actually required to be logged in to the instance. This enrichment data is just happening independent of you being logged in.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. A lot of security people are busy, the teams are overloaded, and there's too many events. And so, if a savvy attacker could actually jump on a machine and jump off, but if we capture this information at the time the incident is generated, then when the incident actually gets to when the analyst actually gets to the incident, then they have all that information in front of them.
Great. And is there a way to roll up this data so I can see?
Yep. Absolutely. So you can see here we've actually stored these results. We've run lookups against multiple threat intel sources and gotten the reputational ratings back. We can see that there's some malicious stuff that's actually there. And then new in Jakarta, what we've enabled is what we call bidirectional SIM search or data lake search. So what also happened here was we took those indicators and we fired lookups into Splunk and Elasticsearch. We support multiple SIMs, and this gives us this notion of internal prevalence. In addition to that, what it does is it gives us how many hits we have in our environment. So we've taken those indicators, we've seen some of them are bad, and then we see how widespread this is in our environment. And if we want to, we provide you a link to the raw query to look at the raw data if you actually want to go and do a further investigation.
Wait, so you actually have already done an investigation of this, and as part of that investigation, you figured out that there's other existences of this particular IOC already in your environment that you need to go spend time on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So it seems like you're off to a good start. I'm going to go check in with your competition over here and see how he's doing. Hey, Chad, you want to pop those headphones off?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Ransomware, rootkits, you know, walk in the park, guys. Hailstorm, seriously, like that's what we're doing today. You know, would you guys read about this in the news? Guys like us have been working on it for a week, so, you know, another day in the life.
Wow. All right. Well, he seems pretty confident. I'll let you get back at it there, Odin. Chad, let's keep going.
Did he say hailstorm?
Did he say hailstorm?
He said hailstorm.
So he's working on the wrong attack.
He is absolutely working on the wrong attack.
Okay. All right, good. So hopefully you don't feel too confident, Harold.
I'm feeling pretty good right now.
All right. So he's working on the wrong attack. Or Chad. All right. Why don't you get right into it and keep going?
Yeah, so you know, the next thing that we might do is we might want to start blocking some of these bad indicators in the environment. And so the great part about being integrated into the ServiceNow platform is I can select those indicators. And what I'm going to do here at the bottom of the screen is actually issue a block request. Now, this is actually going to create a change approval request that's going to be routed, and based on approval, we'll update the dynamic block list on a Palo Alto Networks firewall. So the way we like to, you know, actually position this and talk about it with customers is, you know, we can take automation as far as you want to take it, but we still keep somebody on the go button so that you're not issuing a denial of service against your environment, and then the integration into change management is obviously recorded for your standard change review processes.
So that block that you just initiated went straight through to the IT process, however it's defined. You know, the approvals, notifications. Obviously, if security could directly change the dynamic block list, you're going to just do that automatically. So this is taking you all the way from automating the investigation. You made the decision, found additional infections, and now you're remediating this all automatically.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I mean, you know, as we've often heard, you know, security and IT teams are a general love fest in between each other. They just love each other. So this really just, you know, helps streamline that handoff request and get things through faster.
Yeah, in all seriousness, though, you know, we've seen a lot of customers talk about how this kind of common access on the platform does allow them to really build better relationships between IT and security.
Absolutely, and then the other little bonus here with the platform is that we have a built-in cost management capability, so we can actually provide you with quarterly or annual estimates on how much time and money you'll save using automation with the solution, and then we actually track the actual execution of the orchestration events, so we can give you an actual readout, so it's not just some crazy number that somebody dreamed up.
Awesome, real ROI. Great, well, let's check in with Chad, see how he's doing. Wow, Chad, you're looking incredibly casual.
Yeah, out of my hands, man.
What do you mean out of your hands?
I called IT and just waiting to hear back from those guys.
You're waiting to hear back from IT?
Yeah, Sean. You know, I don't have all the information. You know, these guys have the location, the business owner of these boxes that are popped, and so I'm just waiting to hear back, get that info.
Got it. So IT's got the data. You just have trouble accessing it.
Yeah, we got to wait on those guys. It happens.
All right. Well, Chad, everybody, let's let them get back to it. All right. So why don't you come up here for a moment, Harold? What else you got going on at the conference?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of afternoon sessions on security today. I'm going to be covering roadmap in Jakarta and what's coming beyond in the breakout session. I think it's 4055 at 3:50 today. So keep a lookout for that. Always happy to talk security ad hoc with any folks. And then we also have the sessions that Rich and folks are going to run on Trusted Circles and Vendor.
I think you set everybody up for a pretty good lead for Rich coming into the tail stretch of this investigation.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, well, Harold, beyond everybody. We have to take a quick break. When we get back, Rich Raybach will be on this stage, head of engineering from the security business unit, picking up where Harold left off. It's the afternoon show with ServiceNow Security. We'll be right back. All right.
All right, folks, this gives us an opportunity while we're filming this commercial to tell you how you can text in questions to Ron Wakely, who's going to be our last guest today. If you text Knowledge17 to the address 22333, 2 2s and 3 3s, could not be easier. 22333, text Knowledge17, and you'll get a response back. You'll get your questions. They're coming right to me. I will be able to field those off to Sean and Ron when we come back. So let's give a big round of applause when we come back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. We are back. If you're just joining us, this is the afternoon show with ServiceNow Security, and we are in the middle of an incident response showdown between security operations as run by Harold Bjorn and soon-to-be Rich Raybach, and Chad, the most confident security analyst in the world, who's looking a little less confident right now. All right, well, we'll get to Chad in a moment, but I think now's probably a pretty good time to bring out our next guest. He is the head of engineering for the security business unit. Rich Raybach, everybody. Rich.
Hey, Sean.
How you doing?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Yeah, what's up, man?
So, Rich, I'm sure most people here don't know, but you were CTO at Brightpoint Security, which was the company that ServiceNow acquired about a year ago. A lot of what you're about to show us was actually originally conceived there. And you've been a chief information security officer. You've been an operations guy on the security side. So you're missing the hoodie that Chad clearly has, which demonstrates his prowess. But other than that, you've got some pretty good background. What's getting you motivated every day?
Yeah. So first, it's been a great year. Joining ServiceNow and having a great team, behind us there in Santa Clara, San Diego, and San Francisco, meeting all you great guys. It's been awesome. And what motivates me is, having this opportunity. You're going to see some cool stuff here I'm going to demo in a moment, but really tapping into the collective power in this room, in the security community, to help balance the equation that we're losing right now relative to security. The bad guys are collaborating, they're working together, they're sharing source code, they're building botnets. I'm kind of by myself. You had those lights on you this morning, it was pretty powerful, and that's how we feel sometimes. And we want to change that. And I think we've created some really cool technology to do that, and I'm really excited kind of to show it off today.
It seems personal for you almost.
I've been through some pain, a lot of investigations over the years, and so I know what people are going through. And I want to help, and I think we're helping. And ServiceNow is uniquely positioned with the platform to be able to do it.
Great. Well, let's see.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about trusted security circles without the lights going out, maybe this time.
Do it. Yeah.
That was pretty fun to do, though. If I think about threat sharing, right? What I hear from customers is, I'm having a real challenge with just getting information from others in any kind of a reliable, repeatable way. What really brought you to focus in on this problem?
Well, again, it was to tap into the knowledge. And so the problem with threat intelligence today is it's background noise. I don't know if it's relevant to me. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it's about these types of infrastructures that I have. If I'm in healthcare, how do I know that this threat intelligence relates to, the pacemaker monitor server that I've got sitting in my data center? It could be anything. And so trying to get to that relevancy from an automation standpoint, make it actionable was really important.
Right, and then of course the anonymity piece of it is super key as well.
Yeah, can't be on a blog, right? I'm trying to keep myself off the blog to begin with the attack. And so if I share and I communicate and it somehow comes back to me, well, I've made the problem worse. And so finding ways to beat all of that and make it available is what we've been doing.
And correct me if I'm wrong there, Rich. I mean, in addition to the anonymity, we also have a method to suppress which threat indicators you would actually share. So any registered IP space or domain name variants that identify you as a company, we can suppress those from actually being shared out.
That's right. Look, you're in control. So you decide what gets shared, you decide how it gets shared, and how much gets shared. So you're always maintaining that this is where it's coming from. It's not going to come back to me kind of aspect of it.
Great. Well, why don't you show us?
Let me show you. Yeah, so the cool thing was, you may not have seen it earlier in Harold's demo, but as part of that orchestration, he actually shared with me the indicators relative to the attack that Piero launched. So thank you for that. And so I've already got a head start. I've got an incident sitting in my queue that's high priority. It's relevant to me, and it's something I can immediately jump into. And I would have been blind if I hadn't been part of this product and of this service. And so could be 209 days before I find this. I know now because I've leveraged the capabilities that Harold's team had, and I've embedded it in my team.
I mean, it's almost like Harold's investigation you inherited at no cost to you. And in fact, when I mean no cost, I mean truly no cost in that not only did you get the indicator for free, right? But you also didn't have to sift through a portal or a big email inbox filled with potential shares that may or may not even be relevant to your organization.
That's right. Let me show you. So if I click into the incident and go down to the bottom here, all the similar types of things that happened from an orchestration standpoint earlier with Harold, it's part and parcel of how I operate. It's not a new process. I don't have to learn the product differently. It just becomes how I operate. This collaborative incident response model becomes the new way for SOCs to operate. And so I can see here, these are the indicators of attack, the IP addresses, the URLs, the hashes, the malware. I get the specifics that I need, that my team needs to be able to actually orchestrate the remediations.
Excellent, excellent. So what do you need to do now? Do you need to actually share that out?
Yeah, well, the first part is, I've said this earlier, but I want to be really clear. We're only showing you things that are relevant to you. And so we're leveraging now the bidirectional sharing that comes in Jakarta, rather than bidirectional searching that comes in Jakarta, where we can go out and hunt in your environments to try to find the relevant CIs, relevant assets that are actually under attack, and present them to you. And so, we've been able to show that here. I've got 8,000 of these things running around my network. They're on the CIs that I own. I can go respond.
Great. So you're only going to see that pop up on your end if it's relevant to you.
Right.
So we all are in some big trusted security circle together. You share out. Only the folks who have that IOC present in their environment are going to even be alerted, right? So it's got a natural filter built in.
Yep.
Yeah, and this really also gives you the sense of internal and external prevalence, right? And so if there's only an internal prevalence or footprint for those indicators and none of the peers or the circles have seen it, it's either a false positive or a targeted attack, right? So, I mean, it's a good information and context to have.
So let me show you. So Harold shared automatically as part of the workstation. I'd like to show everybody, how we would do this manually, what that would look like. So we've spent a lot of time on the anonymization of the incident, of the sharing. Again, we can't show up on a blog. And so Harold didn't know me. I didn't know Harold. That sounds pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it sounds really good, actually.
But I'm part of his trusted circle. In this example, I'm part of this finance trusted circle. So I'm with others that run similar types of infrastructures, similar types of applications that are facing similar attacks, context and relevancy. If I know what's likely to come to me, well, I have a better chance at actually building the relevant defenses. And so I choose my trusted circle. Again, you can create your own trusted circles for your own environments if you chose. And then context is important. So don't just send me an email with a bunch of IP addresses and URLs. Why am I getting this? What's it about? What have you already discovered about this? And so I can provide some context to who I'm sending it to. This is what it looks like. This is where it's coming from. And this is what I found.
You're the fastest typer I've ever seen, by the way.
Light speed, Sean. Light speed.
Okay.
So
all right.
The other benefit from this is, and it turns out Piero is actually pretty sneaky.
It's the beard.
Yeah, I haven't shaved in 3 weeks. Is as we see different parts of the attack, right? I might be in the exfiltration stage while Harold's in the reconnaissance stage. So I've learned some new things about this attack. He actually launched it from multiple locations. And so I'm adding to what the community already knows with new information. So Harold is actually going to be able to take this a step further and begin to remediate it at his end. And this is how we shrink from 209 days. This is how we shrink from 70 days. I'm solving the entire attack as it moves and morphs underneath me, kind of at the same time.
So wait a minute. So Harold did this automated investigation. Then he made a decision, automatically remediated it, shared it with you. You then did your own investigation, found it in your environment, found that there were actually aspects of it that Harold didn't know about. You shared back with him, and now he's going to be able to respond more effectively.
Yep, collaborative incident response.
That sounds pretty good.
Level on the playing field.
All right. Well, I feel like it's time to check in with the most confident security analyst in the world.
I can't wait. I like that sweatshirt, by the way.
Chad.
Sean. Bro. I'm not a magician. These things take time. IT called finance, finance called IT, and nobody knows about these boxes. No one can find them.
What do you
Not to
mean?
mention, you guys using some new variant I've never seen before, so I got to get on the horn and call my buddies and find out, who's using it, who's seen it. So we're making progress.
Are you making progress?
This is how it goes, man. That's why we put in the hours.
So you're having trouble getting resolution on who owns the boxes that have been infected by Hailstorm, and you're also having trouble getting any context on this variant with your buddies.
Someone will know.
Okay. Well, how you feeling about that beard, Piero?
There's no way that beard's real.
Okay, the beard can't be real. All right. I'll let you get. Oh, he's already gotten back to it. All right.
Hey, Sean, let's also not forget, he's working on the wrong attack still.
That's right. He's still working on the wrong attack. All right. So clearly, I think it was maybe an unfair fight to compete with manual IR processes. But Chad seemed so confident. It really.
And he's by himself.
He's all by himself right now. So, why don't we keep going? What's next? So, vendor risk management.
Yeah.
CJ announced that, and I'm sure everybody was intrigued. But it feels like we've just changed topics pretty dramatically. Is that true?
Not at all. This is all connected. And so when we talk about incident response, when we talk about collaboration, well, it extends beyond my firewall now. My data isn't no longer just in my protected enclave in my data center. I've got API services. I've got cloud services. I've got vendors. My vendors have cloud and API services. And so my responsibility hasn't changed as the CISO. I still have to protect into that cloud. And so what vendor risk management is about is enabling me to actually have this two-way conversation in a nice, simple, easy way with my supply chain so that I can actually protect my entire ecosystem.
And I can tell you what I hear from customers that I talk to. I hear about problems with scale, right? We've got telcos that have tens of thousands of vendors, and it's very common for any organization to have hundreds of vendors, and they all need to be assessed. So just the problem of the scale is a big challenge. Then there's the challenge of responding. I don't know if folks here have dealt with dealing with the dreaded 12-tab, 1,200-row SIG document that you have to fill out in Excel. This is a daunting task. So how do we make that a lot easier? And then lastly, when you're dealing with so many questions, so many vendors, how do you actually think about risk? How do you rationalize any of that?
Yeah. So let me show you.
Okay.
So as part of that last attack, it turns out that there was actually a vulnerability that Piero was taking advantage of. And I had to patch to remediate. Well, I need to make sure that my supply chain is also patching as well. Bad guys are like electricity. They're going to follow the path of least resistance. And if it's easier to get my data, my assets, my IP by going through a supplier, well, that's where they're going to go. In fact, we've actually seen that over the past several years, a number of high-profile attacks that have happened. And so oftentimes we'll put compliance language in our contracts with our suppliers, specifically around things like patching and best practices for security. So that's what I'm going to key off of here. My suppliers know that they've got to patch when high mission-critical events or patches rather are released out into the public. And so I'm going to communicate that. And so we make it really easy. We start with a nice template. This is something that happens pretty often. Software gets vulnerable. We've got to do patching. So I've set up already to repeatedly do this in my products. And so I'm going to give them a bit of information. I'm getting some data about the patch, where it is, where they can find out data. We also allow for bidirectional responses with different type of information. So I'm going to make this simple, and I'm really just going to ask, hey, did you patch? And I need some evidence. But I can put multiple choice questions in here. I can ask for free-form fields. I can get as simple or as complex as I want to have in terms of the interaction with my suppliers. And so here I'm asking a yes/no question. Again, a bit more data. Save it. And I'm ready to go.
Wait, so you built an entire assessment for this new capability, this new challenge that you're dealing with. This is different than sharing, right? What Harold and you were sharing, that was sort of just designed to make it better for everybody. But this is you actively saying, I need to assess a particular set of vendors on this specific question.
Not an email, not with spreadsheets, not trying to track down who to talk to. Well, look, we talked about minutes and hours earlier. This is how we get things down to minutes.
All right, so how do you actually send the assessment?
Yeah, so in vendor risk management, we actually allow you to tier your vendors. Not all vendors are equal. Some might have my HIPAA data, others might have my PCI data. And so for this specific incident, I want to address those which are most critical. And so we have that. Here's my critical vendors. And it's based on risk and calculations, a number of different inputs that you can put into the product. And so as we see here, I've got about 8 critical vendors. Let's go. Let's get them the assessment. So I'm going to select them all. I'm going to send them an assessment template, the one I just created. And I'm done. I have now addressed my supply chain with, hey, where are you on this?
Nice. Very nice. So what does that look like from the vendor's perspective?
Yeah, so I'm going to actually switch now and pretend I'm a vendor. I'm one of my suppliers and show you what this new great portal looks like.
So you're now the vendor responding to the assessment you just sent.
That's right.
OK.
And bam, modern age, visible portal. We talked a lot about it. CJ talked a lot about it in the keynote this morning. Making this easy to use, simple, the experience that a supplier has, make that better. They're partners. We want them to work together with us. And so, you know, email is not so friendly, it's disengaging. This now creates a closer relationship to us. So I can see here that I've got an assessment that's come in. Cool. Oh, vulnerability patch. OK, I get this a lot. And oh yeah, I saw this on a blog. I saw this on MSNBC. I know what I need to do here. I've got a really great IT team behind me that uses ServiceNow, and so I know they've done the work. So I'm going to say, absolutely, I have patched. Oh, you want evidence? OK, let me attach that scan data that we have. Select it. Done my work. Good job. And I'm going to send it back to the enterprise. That's it. I'm done.
Wow, that is fantastic. So the entire assessment process is really just a modern web interface that the vendor can deal with. Do they need to be a ServiceNow customer to use this?
That's the beauty of this. And so when you buy this for your enterprise, your suppliers are able to use the portal directly. They'll get a nice email for registration, and this becomes their interaction point with you going forward. They don't have to be customers.
And then the main point of contact at the vendor can actually invite other folks to join as well to help answer some of these lengthier assessments.
Absolutely. I could have easily, shift this over to my CIO or my compliance manager for them to respond to, so I can delegate tasks out internally into my own company as needed.
Great.
Yeah, and this also actually will support any custom assessment as well as the industry standard SIG assessment, so we can ingest that. We actually have those embedded out of the box, but if you have a custom assessment, you use what Rich was designing on the fly, and you can use this to assess pretty much your entire supplier network.
Fantastic. So now I would imagine, we need to see sort of how the assessment went with all these vendors.
Oh, that's right. Look, I want to work the problem, not the process here. And so what I want to do is be able to go back and see, well, how's my supply chain doing? And so I can see here right in the middle, I've got a nice chart. And so it's a simplistic example, but it gives you the highlight of work the problem. I have 2 vendors that actually haven't patched. I have 2 vendors that are non-compliant and created now risk for my entire organization. This is where I'm going to put my resources. This is where I'm going to spend my time resolving them instead of trying to track down the emails, the spreadsheets, reading through all that for all the suppliers that I've been talking to. So quick, actionable, get you to the problem as fast as we can.
That is fantastic. What do you guys think? So just to summarize, because a lot just happened in a very short period of time, Harold started by finding the right attack, the one that was affecting his critical infrastructure. He then automated the investigation so he didn't waste any time getting data. He made an informed decision, found additional infections, executed a remediation directly to a Palo Alto firewall, integrated with the IT process, shared the indicator. Another organization got the indicator, was able to respond in a similar way, found additional challenges with this particular attack that he was able to share back with Harold, and then went and proactively ensured that his critical vendors were able to deal with the same challenge. This feels like the future of security. You guys agree? So we got to take a break, but before we do, I feel like we've got to check back in with Chad. No, Chad? Okay. All right, Chad doesn't want to talk. We're gonna let him keep going. Actually, I think it's probably fair, only fair, to declare victory here. So, Rich, why don't you come on up and accept on behalf of Team ServiceNow? Well done, sir.
Thank you.
So, Where else can folks see you at the conference?
Yeah, so right after this, over in room 310, we're going to do a deep dive and a presentation on the security trusted circles. And then we have presentations on vendor risk management and a number of labs later today, kind of spread out throughout the conference center. So we'll look forward to seeing everybody there.
Awesome. Well, Rich Raybach, everybody. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Ron Wakely from AMP, all the way from Australia, will be here to answer your questions. This is the afternoon show with ServiceNow Security. We'll be right back.
All right, folks, we've got some great questions in from people. I'd love to see a few more. We'll pick the best ones out. Every question that comes in here, we'll provide a response to you, maybe after, because we've got a lot, but I'd love to see a few more. So you can text those questions in to 22333, text Knowledge17. This is your opportunity to ask a live ServiceNow security operations customer the type of value that they're seeing and a little bit about their deployment. So we're going to come back. We're going to need a big round of applause. These guys are doing great. Let's give them 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, we're back, and without further ado, I'd love to introduce Ron Wakely, Head of Cybersecurity at AMP Financial Services, all the way from Sydney. Ron, come on out. Welcome. Doing great. I won't try the good day thing again, because I think I got that wrong. So let's talk a little bit more before we get to the questions that were submitted about this whole CMDB enrichment thing, because I think that got a lot of people excited.
Yeah, a lot of questions.
This idea that suddenly security becomes an ally to IT by providing more and more context that they can then leverage. So if you could tell everybody sort of the experience you had.
So our CMD wasn't accurate. I was really hoping it would, because that's sort of the lifeblood of a security team. But we just pushed ahead anyway. What we did is use the data we got, fixed up the stuff that we didn't have as and when we needed it, and then realized that we could fix the rest with our vulnerability scanning. That was really powerful.
Fantastic. Well, why don't you have a seat, and we'll get to some of these questions from Piero. Piero, do we got a few coming in?
Yeah, we do. The first one that came in was asking about, so Ron, how long did it take you to implement security operations?
6 weeks.
What did you get done in those 6 weeks?
So we got the vulnerability management module put in and running. We got the threat management module put in, and we got the incident management module put in. All of them at a base level, but most of them delivering value. All of them delivering value straight away.
You guys are working with KPMG, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
That's a fantastic result in 6 weeks.
Yeah. So one week we spent co-designing. KPMG were awesome. They sort of really helped with the scope, and then 5 sprints. 5 sprints a week, daily stand-ups, and that's how we did it.
Wow, that's great. What do we got next, Piero?
Yeah, so another one in here on, so how did you decide where to start?
So KPMG really helped a lot with that. I watched the videos online, and I kind of thought, it's all awesome. I want the whole lot. I want it right now.
It is awesome.
It was really great. A good partner, someone who'd done it before, they really helped. So that was a real winner for me.
Gotcha. Let's see what else we've got here.
So while Piero's finding the next question, so you obviously were trying to figure out the place you could have the most meaningful impact to start. How did you think about measuring that, right? So obviously you knew the vulnerability response process was something you wanted to improve. You knew the IR process was something you wanted help with. You know, obviously automation is something you're thinking about. How did you go about deciding this is the area that I'm going to start? This is my focus.
I think one of the things that I really liked from watching the videos is that the reporting comes straight out of the box. I know the types of reporting that we have already. A lot of it is very manual. It's really hard for my team to create these reports. With cyber being such an important issue in financial services, which is where I'm from, I'm up at the board like almost every other week, and especially when there's major events in the industry. So just having that automated reporting was a great place for me to start. That was sort of a key requirement for me.
Excellent, excellent. What else we got, Piero?
You know, I've got a couple questions I'm trying to munge together. And so essentially, A few people have asked, how do I get started? Where do I, when do I know I actually need this? And so maybe the first place is, what triggered you to actually say, what, I've got to go look at security operations versus doing what you were doing earlier? What was the day you had to say, oh my gosh, I've got to go look at this?
Great question. So the IT team at AMP had already purchased ServiceNow. My guys had done a security review on ServiceNow, and in that, they'd sort of uncovered that there's a security module. And then we had all these other types of problems going on. So it was too good of an opportunity to let go past. I really didn't want the IT teams having more capability than I had as well, so that was sort of a key driver.
You may have answered the question about the relationship in here between security and IT. But another really good one that just came in is, what's the general size of your environment? And how many FTEs, and you may have to include some KPMG people in here as well, but how many of them are working on the process that you're doing with managing vulnerabilities?
So I've outsourced my security operations. So the function of looking at those types of things day to day is outsourced, and that's a very recent thing. And there's 4 guys that do that. In terms of KPMG, I think they had 1 lead developer and a couple of juniors. I think there was only 3 of them. And my team's about 10 people that work directly for me, and probably about another 30 that work in various outsources, so indirectly.
Maybe a way to ask that question earlier a little bit differently. You focused on vulnerability response. I know you improved the process by 60%, which is great, but what sort of led you to know that the existing process was inadequate?
Just the turnaround, like the finding the vulnerabilities was really easy for us. And especially in the network scans, the whole process would take around about 12 weeks, 3 months before we'd get it finished and we could start again. And so there's really no point running more vulnerability scans until you can fix up or know the position you're in for the rest of them. So really, that was the opportunity for me. Drop that 3 months basically down to anything, and we've dropped it down to a month now, and we've only really started on the journey. So we want to turn a month into weeks and weeks into days.
So you went from 12 weeks to 1 month?
That's right.
That's pretty awesome. So is vulnerabilities the only thing you sort of feel like you need to do this for? If you think about configurations and sort of other aspects of an endpoint, you're looking at similar assessment processes like that down the road?
Yeah, sure. I think probably the vulnerability one was the one that I really wanted to close off, because that's the sort of thing that would get me on the front page of the paper. The other things that were really, really good for us was the service catalog, and that's kind of not really a security thing, but just templating up the types of things that we do, pen testing, risk assessments, privacy assessments, having them available so people can just go and click a button and order it, fill out some of the prerequisites. I saved a lot of time in that as well. So that's sort of another focus area for me. We've got about 40 more services that we're just running through defining. We want to get them onto the service catalog as soon as possible.
Great, great. I know that's something we haven't actually talked a lot about, is the whole service catalog, but you have a whole infrastructure built out to allow people to request services of your team.
That's right, yeah.
Excellent. Pierre, what else do we have?
We've got another really good one in here. So Ron, how mature were your processes before you got started, and how do you feel about them now?
That's a great question. I used to work in that team, so it's only been in the last couple of years that I sort of moved out and into the head of department role. I would say when I was there, they were really, really great. And I thought they were really great when we sort of engaged KPMG, but it turns out they kind of weren't as good as what we thought they were. And I thought that was going to be a real showstopper, because I'd promised KPMG we could supply all the workflows and that sort of thing. But it actually wasn't really a showstopper. We worked through it. We defined up the minimum you need to do an incident, and then we just built on it. Every time one would come up, we just add that little bit in, and it sort of helped develop itself over a couple of weeks. So that was a real lifesaver for me.
That's great. I don't know anybody else whose processes weren't as good as they thought they were. All right, Piero, what else do we have?
We've got a question in here that's actually asked of all of you. And so we can maybe have a few people jump in with just what are the types of attacks that are most common, and what are the things that we should be most afraid of right now?
I just heard ransomware in the audience.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
I've heard that a few times this week.
I still think phishing.
Phishing.
The phishing thing is something that people are dealing with. We do have the ability to also search Exchange, find unopened emails and delete them out of Exchange. So if you look at your phishing footprint, that's something that we can help automate as well. But that's definitely a point of entry for
Yeah,
folks.
I mean, the masking attacks are still there. So the denial of service type stuff, even if it's not, large and bringing your entire data center down, it's distracting you. It's bringing your attention to something, where they can bring in the phishing or the other type of malware on the other side. So, still seeing a lot of that as well.
What do you think, Ron?
Yeah, for me it's phishing. Phishing's the number one thing that we have to deal with, and ransomware is still a little bit of that, and the CEO type scams as well. We get a bit of that following the phishing, so it's sort of like a bit of a distraction for us. Interesting fact: our phishing campaigns always happen on Tuesdays, so I don't know why, but Tuesday seems to be the day.
Tuesday's phishing day?
Tuesday's phishing day.
All right. Well, I mean, from my perspective...
the time zones.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
From my perspective, I think anything that saves time that you can automate creates more time to do the kinds of things that people really want to do in their jobs, right? To do the hunting, to look for things. So if you look within your own processes or your own infrastructure and you say, oh, phishing is where I'm spending most of my time, then obviously making that automatic means massive time savings and an ability to focus in new areas. Well, great. I know, Piero, we probably have time for one quick more, or we should just wrap.
You know what? We need to get Rich to his session.
We need to get Rich to a session. All right. Well, I know a bunch of people want to see the detailed Trusted Security Circles solo sessions. So why don't we invite up everybody to say thanks. Ron, why don't you come on up? Ron Wakely, everybody. Ron, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Rich Raybach, Head of Engineering. Rich, come on up. You can stay here. Rich, thanks. Harold, Head of Product Management.
Well done.
Big round for the team. In closing, first step, don't be Chad. He's not gonna let us live that one down, I think, for a while. Yep. The second thing I would say is we've got a lot more sessions coming up. So we've got a slide that walks through all the sessions that we have, and really appreciate all the energy around the security community that we're building inside ServiceNow and with our customers. So thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for the energy you've put into this area. This is, I fundamentally believe, to the core of me, the next-gen way to do security, and is going to make a profound impact on the industry as a whole. So thank you all for being part of that journey. This was the afternoon show with ServiceNow Security. Thanks for watching.